Before I introduce the panelists for everyone, I just want to talk about a couple of housekeeping things. For the panelists, they will take turns as an organization talking about their program. I sent some of the information to you already in our confirmation. Also for the participants, which are the families, as you enter the Zoom, you will be automatically muted just so we don't have any background noise to distract anyone from hearing our presenters. Also, if you are familiar with Zoom, as some of you might be, for questions, we are going to be using the Q&A box as well as the chat if you have any questions. The idea is we will save questions for the entire group at the end of all the presenters. However, throughout the presentations of the various organizations, you can write questions as they come up in your mind. So you can write questions throughout the presentation, but the questions will be addressed either if they're general questions. If your question is for a specific organization, please do note that in your question so that we can get that to the right person. If it's a general question, then it'll be one of the presenters that just wants to answer that question to satisfy your curiosity. So my name is Brian Parker. I am the admissions manager here at Holy Trinity High School. I am being joined by my colleague, Charles Jefferson, affectionately known as Host, and he is the Director of Marketing and Communication here at Holy Trinity. We will be hearing today from the HighSight organization, which will be a tag team of Patty Hart and Scott Baker. We will also be hearing from the HFS Chicago Scholars with Jeanette Wilson. We will have the Big Shoulders Fund with Mika Sasoma, which I probably messed up your name, I'm so sorry. And then we have the Daniel Murphy Scholarship Fund with Trenton Dunn. And our last, but definitely not least of our presenters is the Partnership to Educate and Advance Kids, which we call PEAK, with Alexis Armfeld. So you'll hear from them individually shortly, but I wanted to sort of put everything in perspective and context for our parents. Most of you are 8th grade parents, and maybe even your 8th grader is with you, with us during this time. I know some of you are also 7th grade. One of the reasons that we do the scholarship information night at this time is that it's very timely. As you'll find out, if you are planning for your 8th grader to go to a private high school next year, private high school, which essentially means a high school that charges tuition, which includes both straight private, which would be independent schools like the Latin School or University of Chicago Laboratory School, and also Catholic schools like Holy Trinity High School, for example. And this is the process of learning about those schools so that you can go visit them, even if it's virtually. You're going to open houses, you're doing all kinds of great things in preparation for that one day where you're going to take the entrance exam. And the entrance exam is your way as a student of showing your interest in that particular school. And then also at the same time, if there's tuition involved, you're also going to be applying to one of the scholarship programs, which are going to hopefully help you and your family to offset the tuition costs. And as you'll find out, some of the scholarship programs also have some great support programs as part of their financial assistance. So the process in most cases for private school like Holy Trinity would be, you come to an open house, again, even if it's virtually, to be introduced to the school. Then you may do something like a shadow day, either in person or virtually. Then there's the exam. There is the scholarship application. We also offer financial aid, which most of the private schools have their own financial aid, which also means they have their own financial aid process. So for each school that you investigate, make sure you also ask about what their financial aid process is, because that will be separate from what you're learning about today from the scholarship organizations, as these organizations, except for PEAK, is not directly attached to any particular school, but yet all these organizations have partnerships with all the private schools here in the city. And one of the scholarship programs that you'll learn from also partners with schools outside of Chicago. So you'll hear about all of that. Again, just reminding you that we are going to go to about 6:45. If we end early, great. I know originally we said 6:30, but we added a scholarship program for your benefit. So hopefully you can all stay. The questions you can ask throughout the time in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll answer those at the end of the session. And for Holy Trinity, one of the things that we're doing is we are recording this session. So after the session, I will be sending to all the participants a copy of this. So in case you didn't have a chance to write things down or anything like that, we're also going to include a email for all the representatives here together with the website for the organization. And a lot of them will also in their presentation be talking about things like deadlines and applications and things of that sort. One of the things that you can always do is you can always call my office. I will have some information that you already have my email at least. Even if it's not for Holy Trinity, one of my goals is to help you get your 7th or 8th grader to the high school that best fits them, even if it may not be Holy Trinity. Holy Trinity is a great place. Many of your students, especially your 8th graders, will hear about Holy Trinity throughout the fall of their 8th grade year. So I look forward to meeting many of you again, either in a virtual information session that we have here at Holy Trinity throughout the fall. They're all virtual, as well as opportunities for individual chats that we can do via Google Meet. There's all kinds of signups on our website, on our admissions webpage. So we are going to start just a few minutes early, so I don't want to put HiSite, on the spot, but they are first. But just finishing up the idea of the application process, just remember, even if it is a Catholic school, that does not mean that they all have the same process. So please make sure that you're checking out the process. The only thing that is the same, for all the Catholic schools here in Chicago, at least, is that they all take the same entrance exam. And typically the first one is on the same day, which this year is going to be Saturday, December 5th. And unlike what you may learn from some of the public high schools that ask you to take the test at the nearest high school, in most cases, for the Catholic high schools here in Chicago, you need to take the exam at the school you plan to attend as a freshman. So you would come to Holy Trinity if you want to become a freshman at Holy Trinity to take the exam, which in most cases will also kick off your application. And then we will be in touch with you and your family on completing that application process. So without any further ado, and again, I'm really excited to have the representatives spend time with us and you with your families. So we have the tag team from HiSite, which is Patty Hart and Scott Baker. And you guys can take it away.
All right, thank you, Brian. I'm Scott Baker, and I'm currently a project coordinator with HiSite, and I'm here to show you a little bit about our program. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you what it is that we're doing. Give me a sec here, and I will start my slide presentation.
I'm Patty Hart. I've been at HiSite now for close to 20 years, and I'm just going to be here working with Scott as moral support, pretty much.
All right, thank you, Patty. All right, are you guys seeing my screen now? My shared screen? Okay. All right. Well, I guess we've kind of introduced ourselves, but one of the kind of fun things to do is share how it is that we became connected with the organization. And so in my case, I was a IT volunteer early, maybe a decade ago with HiSite. And as I continued to work with them, my role continued to grow. And now I'm helping as a program coordinator with the HiSite Scholars program. So Patty, her background, she dabbled in everything. And so I tried to put one or two things up there and it just didn't quite capture it for her. And so we're just going to say dabbled in everything. And currently she's sort of focused on our junior and senior scholars and being the interface between the colleges and facilitating applications and even some of our seniors that have already graduated from our program, because this has been a challenging year as people go to school. And so we've been doing some of that work as well. So HiSite itself has a kind of interesting background. We grew out of a charity effort. Our original founder, once upon a time, was the principal for St. Joseph's in Cabrini Green. And while she was doing that role, she was there during the 90s, and Cabrini Green didn't have as many Starbucks then. And there were a lot of folks that were in her in her middle school that weren't making it into high school. And so to address that concern, she initiated a after-school program that targeted those middle school kids and provided them with tutoring and mentoring, and tried to decrease the number that were lost between middle school and high school. And so during that time, our current founder became engaged with the organization, and his name is Mark Duhan. He's on the right, if you guys can see that picture, and he was an initial volunteer for the Insight program. And as that program continued, some of the 8th graders that were mentored and tutored went on to high school, and rather than just drop the supports, they tried to follow those students on, and that started the initial kernel, if you will, of the HighSight program. And Mark, who was originally a volunteer, started to grow his role until he became the, I believe, the first program director for HighSight Scholars. So that's a little bit of our background. Mark is still with us. So he's, as I said, our executive director right now. So HighSight's mission statement reads as follows. So HighSight provides a need-based scholarship, tutoring, mentoring, leadership development, and college readiness programs that create new possibilities for Chicago high school students. The HighSight experience empowers our scholars to excel in high school and graduate from a 4-year college across the country. So within the HighSight Scholarship Program, we have multiple ways that we try to impact our scholars. We are a program that's more than just a scholarship. We do ask our students to become involved in supplementary educational experiences. And so this is a bit of how it is that we see that manifesting. We have tutoring, and for that, our scholars typically would come to our space for 3 study sessions a week. And during COVID, we have adjusted that to an online model. But that's typically what happens is that during those times, they have a calm study area where they're able to reach out to tutors of various subjects and get help with their homework. And that's also a time that we were using to mentor them. They would meet one-on-one with mentors during their study sessions. So again, that's online now, but that's still happening. We would expose our kids to leadership development opportunities during the summer of their sophomore and their freshman year. We also have a summer enrichment program where we cover topics that enable students to take control of their lives by using prioritization strategies and implementing implementing tools like day planners and so forth. We teach both the theory and the practice of study skills then. That is about a month and a week. And so that's something that we do during the summers. And then as they age into the junior, senior years, we start to expose them to college readiness programs so that they can more efficiently handle the application process, and they're not overwhelmed by the college process itself. Many of our parents did not go to school, and so we find that they really need supports in this area. So in general, the outcome of these facets is that our scholars end up being more self-directed and academically prepared for college. So our applications open in February, and during February and March, you can complete your applications. I forget the exact date, but in March, that's when our due date happens. One of the unique aspects I like to talk about HighSight is that we don't target just A students. So HighSight was always something that was built to help students jump forward in their capacity. And so if you are a B student and you have the right attitude and motivation, that is our bullseye. In fact, I'm not going to say we'll favor you over the A student, but we really weight that unusually heavy We're very focused on attitude, and it makes us feel good when we can facilitate that jump. You know, all of a sudden you become an A student, we get to pat ourselves on the back, right? So, but that is kind of our target, and it comes out of our history, frankly, is that we were originally created to help those students that were struggling, and so that's a little bit of our past. So we also weight parental support during our application process very heavily. That's something that we know enables student success, and so we do look for that in our application process. So from our scholars, when you're in our program, we ask you to attend weekly study sessions. We have some other program events, like I talked about, that summer enrichment experience. And we ask our scholars to commit to getting all A's. And so before that scares anybody, it's all about having a habit of excellence, and that's what we're really trying to foster. We're not asking for perfection, but we are asking people to strive for that. If you strive for B's, you get B's, right? And so that's kind of a bit of our theory there. So in terms of financial assistance itself, when you become a HiSight Scholar, you will receive financial support for your high school tuition. So that helps you through your private school years. And after that, what we find is that most of our HiSight Scholars will receive full tuition support for college. And in fact, in the last 4 years, 100% of our HiSight Scholars have received that. So on average, if you become a HiSight Scholar, you will have $250,000 of financial support by the time you finish college. So, and HiSight as a nonprofit is reserving 5 scholarships specifically for Holy Trinity. So those of you who are looking to attend there, we have reserved slots for Holy Trinity. So, and with that, I'd like to play a little bit of a video that captures some of our personality, and then I'll wrap up.
Families initially come to HiSight with the hope of making a private education affordable. By the time our scholars graduate, they realize that HiSight has been so much more than a scholarship. It has been a life-transforming journey. HiSight looks for good kids with big dreams. And then, with a 4-year process in place, we will support our scholars to make their dreams a reality. We will challenge our scholars to step beyond their comfort zones in order to reach their full potential. By the time our scholars graduate, they are prepared to get into the best college possible with the best financial support possible, and with a goal to not just get into college, but to graduate from it. And that's just what our alums are doing, graduating from some of the best colleges in the country. Beginning with the summer before the start of high school, scholars participate in a 5-week summer enrichment and high school readiness program. Scholars come together Monday through Thursday afternoons, working on math, English, study skills, and character development. The summer culminates with a 5-day freshman week filled with activities designed to let students realize their potential, develop as a team, and set inspiring goals to start the year strong. Once high school begins, scholars come to HiSight 3 times per week for academic sessions. Tuesday and Wednesday evenings and Saturday mornings, they come with backpacks full, ready to tackle their homework with the support of academic tutors. For the next 3 summers, scholars will participate in summer enrichment programs with the goal to expand their horizons and develop as individuals. Rising sophomores participate in a 4-week summer program with an emphasis on academic enrichment and college readiness. Rising juniors take on new opportunities by applying to and obtaining internships with organizations throughout Chicago. From law firms to architecture firms, from banks to financial institutions, from the Lincoln Park Zoo to Shedd Aquarium and the Goodman Theater, scholars are working, networking, expanding their horizons, and continuing to learn what they are capable of accomplishing. In the same summer, juniors come together for a 5-week leadership program designed to allow them to find their voice and develop their leadership potential. The summer before senior year, with sights set on attending college outside of Chicago, our rising fourth years get to participate in independent summer programs. Some scholars spend the summer at prestigious colleges, while others attend elite boarding schools, both with the unique opportunity to develop friendships with teenagers from around the globe. Other students travel internationally, immersed in community service, language learning, or cultural exploration. No matter what the program, scholars are always amazed at what they learn about themselves and about life. Returning from these programs, students are poised with the confidence that they are prepared to not only get into college, but to earn a college degree. We expect a lot of our scholars because we know when we set our expectations high, students will work hard to meet those expectations. We are looking for some very special individuals to join HighSight. We're looking for students who can go the distance over their 4 years in high school, ready to give their best effort in everything they do. The question is that student you?
All right. I appreciate the opportunity to share a bit with you what it is that HighSight's about. Before I close, I want to give the opportunity to Patty if you wanted to add anything before we pass the baton to the next organization.
No, I think we're good, Scott.
Awesome. All right. Well, we look forward to your questions later. Thanks for the opportunity to present today.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you, HighSight. It was a beautiful video. Love to see everything that you guys are doing, wonderful things that you're doing with your students. My name is Janet Wilson. I am the Director of Operations for HFS Chicago Scholars. I'm going to share my screen here. And present. Okay, can we see that okay? All right. So like I said, my name is Janet Wilson. I'm the Director of Operations for HFS Chicago Scholars. I've been with the organization for 5 years now. The last 2 years have been full-time, and I've had a number of different positions. So when I began with HFS, I was actually a teacher, and I was completing a master's in school counseling. And then once I finished that master's degree, I was just really tied to our families and our students and wanted to continue the work that I had started. And so I began working full-time as the Director of College Advancement, essentially a college counselor, and then eventually moved into the role of Director of Operations. And so a big part of that role is recruiting scholars and then kind of managing our scholar programs throughout the year. So what is HFS? We are a 4-year high school scholarship program. So if you are accepted into our program, you remain in the program all 4 years, as long as you are maintaining the expectations of the scholarship. We've been around for, I believe this is our 27th year. So we began with 1 scholar and have grown to 187 now. We provide partial tuition assistance for a private high school of the student's choice. So the student, like Mr. Parker mentioned, you take the high school entrance exam, you have to apply to and be accepted to a private high school, and then the family does need to apply for financial aid from the school as well. But on top of the tuition assistance, we also have wraparound programming that really focuses on academic support, college guidance, and mentorship. So in terms of academic excellence, our scholars are required to complete summer school prior to freshman year. HFS does cover the cost of that tuition. If our scholars enter another program, say HighSight, as Scott was talking about their summer program, Link Unlimited or Daniel Murphy, their summer program actually does count for our requirement. So we work with those organizations so that the students aren't overloaded. But if they take our program or have to take it at their high school, we do cover the tuition of that summer school. We ask that our students maintain a 3.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale. So that's a B average as well. And that's also what we're looking for in our applicants. So when you apply for our scholarship, we're looking at your report cards from 7th and 8th grade, and we're looking for a B average. And then also our students are meeting monthly with our directors of academics, and they meet also with a parent or a guardian or another trusted adult. So you can see some of our directors of academics there in the picture. And in those meetings, they're discussing your grades, all of your other scholarship requirements, such as service hours, which we'll get to, your communication with your mentor and your attendance, and then your overall school performance. And then within those meetings, the directors of academics really get to know the students personally, and so they are able to provide that individualized guidance and support throughout high school. In terms of college readiness, we start talking about college right away, and we start to really get the students to explore their interests and their abilities early on in freshman and sophomore year, so that they are really prepared to make well-informed choices junior and senior year about their college options. So our students are required to complete 40 hours of service each year. We want them to be very active in extracurricular activities and pursue those leadership positions that, again, expose them to new people, push them outside of their comfort zones and try new things. We host a variety of college-related events each year. We are also fully virtual this year, so we have been learning how to be creative with our Zoom activities, and you know, hopefully by next year, if your son or daughter is in the program, we will be in person again. We also ask all of our students to complete ACT prep their junior year, and we provide the funding for that class. And then we have individualized and group college counseling during junior and senior year to prepare the students and guide them through the college application process. So some of the things, like I was saying, that we provide a variety of different exploration and networking opportunities to get to know, for the students to get to know themselves, for the students to get to know college admissions representatives, and to understand what the different college choices are and which are the best fit for them. I already mentioned the ACT prep that we provide, and again, also mentioned the individualized and group guidance that we provide to our juniors and seniors. In terms of mentorship, I really enjoy this part of the program. This is another kind of part of my role, is I oversee the mentor program. We have some really great professionals from around the Chicago area who are paired individually with each of our scholars, and they really get to know the scholar kind of as an older brother or sister. They're not really considered a tutor. They're not considered a disciplinarian or authoritarian. And the requirement really is that the student and the mentor are communicating with each other and or seeing each other, which again, right now is virtual, at least once a month. And the scholar has an equal role in that relationship. And so we look to parents to really support that, especially early on. If the student's a little bit shy, really encouraging them to take advantage of that person who has volunteered their time to get to know the student, ideally for the entire 4 years. And with that comes obviously support, whether that's academic support, social emotional support, guidance for the student, but also developing those communication and networking skills that are so valuable for them once they're out of high school. To apply for an HFS scholarship, you should be a current 8th grader. So if you are here and you're a 6th or a 7th grade student or parent, I am very proud of you for being here and getting this information as early as possible. But you apply for this scholarship during your 8th grade year. So right now we're looking for students entering high school next fall, the fall of 2021. Again, I mentioned we're looking for students with at least a B average, so a 3.0 GPA. Average to above average standardized test scores. Typically that's 7th grade. We understand with the pandemic, you may not have tested during 7th grade. So we are looking for your most recent standardized test scores. We also are looking for students who demonstrate good attendance, good behavior while they're in school, and they really demonstrate some leadership potential and positive work ethic. So kind of similarly to what Scott said about Highsight, we want students who are motivated and ambitious and are excited to learn, are excited to grow. And so we find those through essays, through letters of recommendation, and then also through the interviews that we do in February. And then of course we are a scholarship program, so it is a need-based scholarship. We're looking for families who demonstrate financial need, typically $55,000 to $60,000 a year for a family of 4. So how to apply? I know there's a lot of stuff on this screen, so bear with me here. We have the online application, which has been live since August 1st. I'll talk about the deadline here in a minute, but it's due November 15th. And then along with the online application, you do submit supporting documents. So you have 2 options this year. You can either upload the supporting documents to the online application at the very end, or have them all printed out and mail them in one large envelope. We're asking families to choose one or the other, just because we want to make sure that your application file is complete and something doesn't end up missing. So here are the supporting documents. We do look for 4 handwritten essays. Those are available on our website. That link is available on our website. We do ask that they're handwritten. If you're unable to print for some reason this year, because you might not be at school and there might not be a printer available to you, you can write out those questions and answers on some lined paper and submit those. We're looking for the final 7th grade report card, current 8th grade grades. So right now it might be a progress report, but then once you get the 1st quarter report card, we want you to submit that as well. Again, the standardized test scores, hopefully from 7th grade, but we understand that may not be possible. And so whatever standardized test scores you have that are the most recent, and we're looking for the scores for math and reading. And then of course, income verification, which typically is your most recent tax return. That could also be Social Security benefits or other types of benefits. Could be a notarized letter from an employer related to cash wages. So anything that helps us verify the family's income for the year. And then the last part is to ask a math teacher or an English teacher or a counselor to complete the online recommendation form, the applicant recommendation form. So it asks them a variety of questions about you and your character and your academic performance. We require 1 recommendation per student and can accept up to 3. If it's easier for the teacher to just write a letter of recommendation, we can accept those as well. So I already kind of talked about this, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but again, looking for families who demonstrate financial need, and these are the various forms of income verification that you can provide us so that we can verify the income level of the family. And so our application is due November 15th. This means that your online application has to be finished. If you're submitting your supporting documents online, those also have to be submitted to the online application by the 15th. If you are mailing your supporting documents, then we ask that those are postmarked, which means they are put in the mail no later than November 15th. We can't accept incomplete applications, so we really urge you to get started as early as possible. And of course, you can always reach out to me. You can check out our website if you have any questions, whether it's about the application or about the program itself. And I believe that's my last, one more slide here. So how you can learn more, there are some other opportunities to connect with us as an organization. I've been hosting coffee chats at 7:30 in the morning on every other Thursday. So we have 1 more of those on October 8th. I invite you to register for one of those. That link can also be found on our website. And then we have our virtual fall open house, which will take place on Tuesday, October 20th from 6 to 7:30. This is an opportunity to learn more about our program, but we also invite our partner high schools. So it will be a Zoom event. And so we will create breakout rooms where once we do our HFS presentation, you will be able to go into those different rooms to speak with the different high school representatives for those schools that you may be interested in. So I went through that kind of quickly, but I hope I was really able to tell you, what our program is about, who our scholars are and what we expect from them, and then of course, how you can apply and how you can learn more about that process. So thank you guys so much for your time, and I will be ready to answer your questions after the next presenters.
And before, for the participant group, just to remind all the families before we hear from Big Shoulders, is that you don't have to feverishly write down everything that you see on the screen. Just do remember that we will be sending afterwards. Mr. Jefferson has been putting in the chat all the website addresses of the organizations as they speak. So definitely, at least if anything else, write down those, but we'll also be sending after this a recording of this video as well as, again, their website addresses. So don't worry, all the details.
Great, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Mika Slotsma from Big Shoulders Fund. Glad that everybody could join us tonight. And thanks so much to Holy Trinity for hosting this. This is great. We love doing this with you guys every year. And I know you may be looking at a variety of schools, but I do love Holy Trinity. So shout out to them. I'm going to share my screen. I think. Here we go. There you go. So like I said, I'm from Big Shoulders Fund. We mainly support Catholic inner city schools, but we also now support other schools as well. But we've been around since 1986, so for a big 34 years. We've been doing scholarships in Chicago, which has been great. We do about 5,000 scholarships a year, so we're pretty large in that respect. So we do a little less personal training than some of the other organizations because we have so many scholars, but we do definitely support you financially. And then we have usually at least one reception event that the scholars participate in every year. Some programs have mentors, and we do some grade school to high school transition events and some high school to college transition events that we're building out even more every year. So we're doing more and more programming every year as we go on. But we do have two different types of scholarships. We have our traditional scholarships that we've had around for those 34 years. And then we have the tax credit scholarship that we work on. So our traditional scholarships we have those in grade school all the way through high school. So you may be coming from a Big Shoulder Fund school. We have 70 plus Big Shoulder Fund Catholic schools that we support with these traditional scholarships. Some of them you get in grade school and they can follow you to high school. So if you know that you have a Big Shoulder Fund scholarship, reach out to your current grade school and they can tell you if that will follow you to high school or not. Okay, then for those scholarships, the high schools would nominate you and apply on your behalf for those scholarships. We have very limited high school scholarships, but we do have some. So if you're applying to one of the Catholic schools in Chicago, such as Holy Trinity, make sure that you ask them if you might be eligible for a Big Shoulder Fund scholarship, and they can look into that as part of your financial aid package. If you are a Big Shoulder Fund scholar, we do require, like I said, attendance at potentially one event each year. Those are usually, the donor is usually there to interact with the scholars. They want to get to know you, and we try to have it be some sort of educational or networking event. And then also for those programs, we require grade reports every year. So our scholarships are not grade-based. We do accept any student who shows leadership potential and just needs a little extra help being able to afford a private tuition. So we can help out with that, but we do need to know that you're trying. That's a really big thing. You know, you got to be trying and putting your best foot forward. So we do require grade reports at the same time. The biggest scholarship that I wanted to talk about today was our tax credit scholarship. So you may have heard about this. It is currently in its third year, and this is a complete need-based scholarship. It is given on a first-come, first-served basis to everyone. So you have to apply, and you get your date timestamp, and then we award in that order. So we are one of 7 scholarship granting organizations in the state that's allowed to give these scholarships. We give these scholarships to the state's broken down in regions. We give them to regions 1 and 2. So it's Cook County, Will County, Lake County, DuPage. There's a few others in there, but it does broaden the range outside of the city of Chicago. However, we have to receive funding for those schools. And to be honest, most of our funding comes for the Catholic schools in Chicago. So you have your best chance of a tax credit scholarship if you're going to a school in Chicago. The biggest thing you need to know about the tax credit scholarship probably is that it can be up to 100% tuition award. So these are huge. They can be a really big benefit for your family, but they are not renewable automatically. You do have to reapply every year. So if you get one, the biggest thing is you need to start planning for the future because you may not get the scholarship again. So take the money that you might be saving and kind of stick it away and save it for the next year in case you don't get it the next year. But always reapply and try again. Some people get it for multiple years, but some people don't. So you have to make sure you're planning on that when you're making your school decision so that you don't get stuck the second year. We have over 14,000 applicants for this scholarship every year. So it's huge, the amount of need that we're seeing for these scholarships. Unfortunately, we only have funding for about 1,000 to 1,200 scholarships a year. So as you can tell, it's really tight on who gets these. Last year, we had 10,000 applications in the first 5 minutes our application was open. We pretty much get through the first minute when it comes to awarding. So you have to be really on it. We open our application at 8 o'clock in the morning. Make sure you're on there at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll go over some tips about the best way to get your internet and apply for that as quickly as possible. But the average award is about $6,000. That includes grade school and high school. So obviously the high school scholarships are going to be a little more. Usually there's a cap on the scholarship amount. It's about $13,700 this year. So if your high school is more than that, there will still be some that you're required to pay. We do give out about $7 million in scholarships every year, but since they're 100%, that takes a lot to get there. You guys get special notice because you're the first ones learning about our scholarship date. So mark your calendars. We're going to be opening on January 12th this year. It is a Tuesday. It'll be 8 o'clock in the morning, January 12th. So you always want to make sure that you're on it right at 8 a.m. We send out the link the day before so that you can have that up and ready to go. We make it mobile friendly so that you can do it anywhere that you have the best internet access. Just if that's at work, at home, at your neighbor's house, wherever that is, the library. We hosted some school events the first couple of years and found that actually that didn't work as well because you had all these people trying to get on the same Wi-Fi. So, you know, we really suggest that you just do it on your own. We give out sample applications in December so that you can see it, know exactly what you need to be filling out and ready to go. We'll hold information sessions in December as well to help you be prepared for that as much as possible. If you do it on a computer, Google Chrome works best for this. And you can find our application and all kinds of more information at our website for the tax credit scholarship, which is bigshouldersfundsgo.org. Some things to know about the tax credit scholarship as far as determining your income level. You do have to enter your household size, so it depends on how many household members you have, and then we look at your adjusted gross income for the previous year. So it can be either 2019 or 2020 for this next upcoming application. We know that many people won't have their 2020 tax returns done by January 12th. That's perfectly fine. You can always just put a note on your application that your 2020 income was lower, because we also know that that may happen for a lot of people this year. So just make sure that you're always communicating with us, whether it's a note on your application or sending us an email, letting us know what's happening so that we can make sure that we're paying attention to all the specifics for your case. This is just a chart of the income guidelines, just to give you an idea. This was for this year. For this school year, a family of 4 up to income of $77,000 was eligible for at least a 50% scholarship. So that kind of gives you an idea of where you might fall in all of this. A family of 4 with an income of $47,000 or less could get 100% tuition covered. And all this information is on our website, so don't feel like you have to hurry and jot it all down. You can check that all out as well. Our application is what we call a 2-step application process. So you apply on application day to get your date timestamp. You need to fill out all the information about your household income and your student and everything else, but you don't need to have any documents ready that day. That'll be the second step. So the second step, if you have a good timestamp, we'll reach out to you for your tax returns. We don't want to have 14,000 people's tax returns in our system, and nobody wants us to have that if we don't need it. So we'll only reach out to you if we think that we might have funding for a scholarship and you have a really good timestamp. And then we'll reach out and we'll ask for you to submit your tax returns, or you can submit Social Security, proof of other income. If you don't file tax returns, that's fine as well. And then you have to submit an ID, just proof of residence, because you do have to be an Illinois resident for this scholarship. This scholarship is based on state law, so there's lots of rules that we have to follow as an organization. And then also those rules apply to who gets the scholarship, basically that date timestamp order that we have to follow. There is some priority statuses that you might hear about. So I always like to go over this briefly because people do get a little bit confused about this. So priority status, there's these 4 different ways to get it. But the biggest way to get priority status is to live in a focused school district. The entire city of Chicago is a focused school district. 80% of our applicants are from the city of Chicago. So 80% of our applicants have priority status, so it kind of negates that priority status. So if you hear anyone talk about that and ask, do you have priority status? Just say, yeah, I live in Chicago. Of course I do. So, it's not really that big of a differentiator for applicants. Again, just the documents that you need would be the first page of your tax return. If you don't do that, we take a sworn statement that you don't file tax returns, and we'll take your W-2s, a 1099, year-end pay statement. We'll even accept like a letter from your employer in case there's cash benefits, anything basically to prove your income there. And really, that's all I have today to let you guys know about. So if you need information about the tax credit scholarship, again, you can go to bigshouldersfundsgo.org. We update that throughout the year because the application starts in January. We're still awarding scholarships for this year, and we'll do that all the way through December. So you can get those, again, these scholarships are good all the way from K through 12th grade. So if you're a student as a 6th or 7th grader right now, you can even apply for this for next year. So application will open in January. We'll start updating our website with new information about the application process, probably in November. So keep an eye out for that. If you've applied in the past, we'll email you all the information already. You're on our list. But otherwise, you can check out our website. You can fill in your information there, and we'll be sure to get information out to you.
Great. Thank you, Big Shoulders. Hello, everyone. My name is Trenton Dunn, and I am with Daniel Murphy Scholarship Fund. Hope everyone is having an okay time, a fun time, and I'm glad to be here with you virtually. But before I say too much about DMSF, I want you to hear it straight from our scholars. And so I have a really quick video I want to share with you guys. And after that, we'll talk a little bit more about DMSF.
I'm a Murphy Scholar. I am a Murphy Scholar.
I am a Murphy Scholar.
I am a Murphy Scholar.
I am a Murphy Scholar.
I am a Murphy Scholar. Daniel Murphy Scholarship Fund supports Chicago high school students
with an abundance of character and leadership potential, but missing the financial and educational support to get ahead in life.
Daniel Murphy, for me, sort of pushed me in the direction of taking the jump, the leap towards opportunity. And that, for me, has made all the difference.
It's the reason why I'm where I'm at. It's my education, it's my professionalism, it's my positive mindset, it's my ambition. They've given me hope. I'm the first one to do a lot of things in my family, and it's amazing, and it feels great, and my family's so proud of me.
While the Daniel Murphy Scholarship Fund means a lot to me, the environment of success that it provides is something that I've never really experienced before.
Since our founding, the DMSF has awarded more than 2,200 high school scholarships.
Murphy Scholars are outperforming our peers nationwide and at home in Chicago. This is more than a high school scholarship.
Becoming a Murphy Scholar has changed the trajectory of my life. I'm a Murphy Scholar, and my future is bright.
All right, and so, like I said, I wanted you to hear it straight from our students and our scholars' mouths, a little bit about what their experience has been like with DMSF. Just to reiterate, DMSF has been around for over 30 years, and what we specialize in is supporting students in attending high schools, not only here in the city of Chicago, but high schools all over the country. That's right, DMSF partners with a number of boarding schools, both on the West Coast as well as the East Coast, and some right here in the Midwest. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're looking for, how to apply, and then some of the perks that come with being a Murphy Scholar. So if you can bear with me, I'll be doing a little bit of navigating between slides as well as talking to you all directly. The important piece, I think right now, that I want everyone to know is that we are currently on the search for our next class, the class of 2025. And that search is going on as we speak. So you can apply for our scholarship right now, tonight, if you would like. You can find it on our website at dmsf.org. But before you get there, I think it's important to know a little bit about what we're looking for. And so our application criteria, what we look for are students with strong academic potential. Now, what this means is that you could be an A student, you could be an AB student. Sometimes it's an ABC student, but we are looking for students who are making it a point to take academics seriously and want to use academics as a vehicle to kind of help them move further along in life. The second piece is that we're always looking for students of strong character. So that leadership potential that some organizations talked about tonight, students who are taking responsibility and can show that responsibility is also very important. Give me 1 second, sorry. I'm trying to be slick and do my navigation. And so if you hear a little sound between my speaking, that's perfectly fine. Everything, I'm trying to make sure that I have a couple of windows open. But so strong character is a big one. The next one is financial need. Now, this is the one where we can get into a little bit of conversation about, but how we equate financial need at DMSF is that we're looking for families who have an income of $75,000 or below, a total household income of $75,000 or below. Now, of course, not every situation is black and white. And if there's a special situation that you have at your family with, let's say, a recent loss of a job or during this current COVID landscape, please bring that to us. We don't want anyone to shy away because they feel like that they might not fit that financial need. Let that be a conversation with you and the organization. Okay, so we've already hit strong academic potential, strong character, as well as financial need. If you have all of those three, we definitely encourage you to apply. So our website, I'm going to put in the chat for everyone so that you can see it. But you can go straight there and you'll be able to apply for the scholarship. Our deadline is October 19th. Now that might sound very soon, and trust me, it is, but you can do our application in this time. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what all is included on the application, and then I'll take it from there as far as So a couple of big pieces is that with our application, it's entirely online. That's important to know, as well as there's nothing that's going to be submitted in person. I know that that can be tricky with some organizations, but this one's going to be entirely submitted online, okay? We ask for a lot of the same materials that you heard tonight. So we're going to look at your test scores. We're going to look at your grades. We want families to submit tax information. And so it's important that you are working to get all of those things accumulated so that you can submit them online. Because we are going to look at all of those things. And one of the big important things is that we want complete applications. And I know it may be difficult, but please allow us to help guide you through that. And so a number of staff are on call through email. You could also call to the office and they will dispatch you to a member of the education team to help you get your application in if you're having troubles with technology or anything like that. You submit the application by October 19th and you've been selected for an interview. Congratulations, great. So you go on to our next process. One thing that we do with our organization is that we interview the student and the parent, okay? So both of you will come for an interview. And in this case right now, we're doing interviews virtually through Zoom. So through a forum like this, you'll meet with a panel and from there you'll be either selected for the scholarship or waitlisted. For those students who are either selected, waitlisted, it's really important that you continue with the high school admissions game. So if you're working with Holy Trinity, please keep us abreast and let all the staff know at Holy Trinity that you are you've been awarded the scholarship or that you're on the waiting list for the scholarship. Those are really important pieces for us to know as well as Holy Trinity to know. Because the thing about DMSF scholarship, it is a partial high school scholarship. And so when schools are looking at how they're going to support, if you're getting financial aid, they'll take that into consideration. So it's really important that you have that, that you're communicating with both sides, not only DMSF, but also the school partner. And so that's an important piece. I want to make sure that I'm going to show you right now another component to the application. So I talked a little bit about some of the things that we have you do as part of the application. I want to go a little bit more in depth about what we're looking for. I'm going to share my screen one more time. Okay, hopefully everyone can see that. So we asked for several pages of personal information. We want to know who's in the household. And then we get to the essay questions. Now, I know I can't hear all of the people in the audience, but I know that there might have been some groans with the talk of essays. Don't worry, these are not hard essay questions. We really want to know about you. It's really important for us to get a sense of who you are. And so these questions, we're not going to ask you to talk about the Gettysburg Address or the Pythagorean Theorem. These are more so questions about who you are and your experiences. It's really important for us to have that idea, and this is where we're able to kind of learn a little bit more about that strong character and leadership potential that I talked about earlier. Okay, recommendations are a big part of what we do, all right? You have 3 mandatory recommendations that you have to submit with DMSF, okay? And we usually are looking for the 7th grade language arts teacher, 7th grade math teacher, and a guidance counselor or a principal. Now, because of the current landscape, we have been talking with a number of applicants, and sometimes those roles have either shifted. We ask that you do the best that you can to get these 3 people to submit recommendations. If someone is moved or someone is no longer working, please let us know and we can kind of help point you in the direction of who would be able to supply the recommendation that we're looking for, but that is what we're looking for. We also get your 7th grade report card and 7th grade test scores. Now, the important piece about this is that it has looked different because of COVID, and so we're looking for the most recent. So if you didn't do testing in the spring, that's perfectly fine. We'll go with either whatever your last test scores were, have those be submitted as fulfillment for that. Once again, everything needs to be turned in by October 19th, okay? And that's, I have a little caveat here that says we don't consider incomplete applications, so please make sure that everything is submitted. We get over 1,000 applications a year. We're right now currently serving 460 students, and so we really want to make sure that everyone gets a fair shot. We really want to make sure that everyone gets a fair shot, and part of your doing in that is to make sure that your application is complete, okay? I think I've talked a little bit all about the application. I want to now talk about some of the perks that you get with being a Murphy Scholar. All right, so we are a 4-year scholarship to a private high school, and you get that 4-year scholarship. You don't have to reapply every year. As long as you maintain a 3.0 GPA and you have a strong you have a strong performance record at your high school, your scholarship is renewable. The other great thing about this is that we do lots of fun social events for students. The one big one, of course, is our Summer Bridge program. It's a 2-week program, which the brand new class gets to meet each other, gets to meet the staff, and we have a lot of fun. In addition to that, we do have summer opportunities. One of those largest summer opportunities is our caddy program. And so we run a very large residential caddy program at Daniel Murphy Scholarship Fund. Students get to live on a college campus for a summer, and they work at surrounding golf clubs throughout the week. Great thing about this is that caddies can make some really good money throughout that summer. But also the big plus to this is that those students are then, if they have a strong caddy record for 2 years or more, they are eligible to apply for the Chick Evans Scholarship. So out of the 32 seniors that we had last year go through the caddy program, 28 of those students were awarded the Chick Evans Scholarship, which is a full ride to one of 17 schools. We do offer ACT preparation and college counseling support, as well as a mentoring program and affinity group. Affinity group is a really, really close program to my heart, just because it's almost like group mentoring. We have students meet every other Saturday, and we're basically running around the city, doing fun stuff, going to museums, learning more about cultural aspects of the city, and really kind of helping aid the students in transitioning from middle school to high school. And so that's always a special one that I like to highlight. But definitely a lot of perks that come with being a Murphy Scholar. One thing that I want to do before I leave, and I'm going to stop share here right now, is that we know that it will be a little different navigating this whole landscape in the high school admissions game throughout all of this. And I definitely want to offer DMSF as a resource. You have a great staff at Holy Trinity as well. But if you do have questions about, what schools you should be looking at, those types of things, what you need to do, what tests you should be taking, all of those, we do try to be a little bit of a full service with that and serving students and parents holistically. And so I want to make sure that you guys understand that. The other thing that I want to do is make sure that everyone is invited to our high school fair. So every year we do a big high school fair in which we have those 80 partner schools, students here in the city, as well as all of our boarding schools. They come to Chicago. This time it's going to be virtually. They're going to be flying in virtually to our event, but you'll be able to meet a lot of schools and kind of helping make that best choice about where it is that you want to be. Of course, there's a special place in my heart for Holy Trinity, but if you're still looking, definitely make sure that you take advantage of that. That's going to be on October 7th from 5 to 7:30. And once again, you can learn more about that at our website. So I put that link in there, and you can actually, I think the RSVP link is included on that page. Well, with that being said, I think I've ran through everything pretty rapidly, but don't worry, if you have questions, I'm always here. I'm also going to put my email in the chat as well. Thank you guys so much, and I can't remember who I'm turning it over to. Peak, I believe.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alexis. I'm the program manager at Peak, and so I will begin to share my screen now. Okay, so first of all, welcome to Scholarship Information Night. Okay, so at Peak, our mission is to provide opportunities for underserved youth to achieve academic and personal success by combining a 4-year quality values-based high school education, and we also do that with the guidance and commitment of caring adult mentors. So who do we serve? So we definitely serve academically average students. Since 1998, Peak is focused on this segment of the population, academically average students. And usually our students come from some of the most challenging and underserved neighborhoods throughout the city. We have served over 250 scholars since 1998. And we do have a really good success rate with more than 90% of our graduates pursuing higher education following their high school graduation. And then 100% of Peak scholars who have graduated have been accepted into college since 2006, which is really great. So how we do what we do is that we combine the scholarship and mentor, so a mentor program. So a 4-year full tuition scholarship is awarded, and then you're paired with a mentor. As a student, you're paired with a mentor. And you have this mentor for 4 years. So this mentor commits to you throughout your high school experience. So you definitely grow a close bond with them and get to learn from one another. And we partner with Holy Trinity High School. So Holy Trinity High School is a Brothers of Holy Cross school. Our scholars receive rigorous values-based education in Holy Trinity's nurturing and academically challenging environment. So just an overview of the program. So we provide the 4-year full tuition scholarship along with the mentoring program. We also have academic support and advising through a Peak/Holy Trinity advisor. And then it really is a fun program. We have 4 to 6 mentor scholar enrichment outings throughout the year. And we also provide internship and college access support. So the application process, first you need to go through Holy Trinity's application process. You have to be accepted to Holy Trinity High School. After that, you will complete and submit the Peak application. You do have to demonstrate financial need, but then once that's all good, you'll attend a Peak interview, and that's how you go about beginning the process. I will post our website in the link, and I'm willing to answer any questions anybody has. And this is our team. So thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you, everyone. I know that for our participants, this may be in the first time that you've heard of some of these scholarship programs. And for those of you where your current 8th grader may not be your first go at this, it's a reminder that these scholarship programs are here to help you and your family to not only afford a private high school tuition, but also to have part in the sort of the full circle of nurturing a high school student. It's not just a matter of writing a check to a high school in support of your student. It really is making sure that they can be supportive through the entire 4 years, either with their own programs within the scholarship or partnering with the high school that your child goes to in order to facilitate some of that, executive functioning, things like how to take notes, how to advocate for themselves, ask questions, as well as just an opportunity to just investigate what things they like doing. Which are both, again, encouraging them to be part of the extracurriculars of the high school and also to be part of the scholarship programs. Numerous, as you heard from the representatives, there's numerous opportunities both here locally and abroad out of Chicago, out of the country where your student could, really make some headway on who they are as an individual. So before we get to the questions, I do want to remind the participants that if they do have questions, to just type them in the chat or the Q&A. Mr. Jefferson is going to help us with questions. I may, because I work with a lot of families as our scholarship programs do, But specifically in admissions for a high school, there are usually some unique questions that we get from parents. So I may be supplementing some questions that maybe will be good for our participants to hear, so that we can at least, flesh out, some of these nuances of your program. One of the things I do want to say is that this is not about which program is better or which scholarship program works best. It really is, I would tell, if you are applying to a private high school, you definitely want to apply to that private high school's financial aid process. For like Holy Trinity, what we do is we would give an interested family both the admissions application and also the financial aid application at the same time. It's just part of our process. Even if you think as a family that you may not, you may be on a higher end of income, and I think Trent Dunn said it very clearly that, even if you are on the high end, that doesn't necessarily automatically count you out as an opportunity to receive a scholarship. So I tell every family to apply, even if they don't think they qualify. And then you have the scholarship programs. I would say, to apply to all of them if you think your child, your student fits the criteria. There are some subtle differences in criteria. Some are on the high end coming in and staying at that level. Some are, the AB, and then you heard from Peak, which is trying to work with the middle of the road students who want to succeed and do better. So it really is a matter of just investigating different scholarship programs and figuring out which is the best fit. The other thing to think about is what are some of the requirements of the program. You'll have a hyper intensive involvement program like a high site where your student will have to come and do tutoring. Now the nice thing is that they can have a nice environment or do their schoolwork, but you also have to make sure that your student can get there 3 days a week. Obviously now it's virtual, but even virtually, you got to make sure that you can get there in the timing. Things like Daniel Murphy. It's if you're going to do caddying over the summer, this is a huge commitment. It's not something that you can do for a couple of days and see how it is, and then okay, I'm good. I'm good for the rest of the summer. So really, don't just think of who offers the most money. Don't just think of even academically which program is best for my student. Also think of the bigger picture. Can we as a family, really commit to what they're offering? I will tell you from a story of one of our current freshmen at Holy Trinity. She was awarded a number of scholarships that are represented here, and she actually declined one of them because, not because it was a bad organization, but because she thought that she wouldn't be able to commit herself to that as a freshman because she wanted to really focus and concentrate on being the best freshman she could be. Even though obviously the scholarship program would have helped, but she also knew that she didn't want to spread herself too thin. So these are kind of the considerations. And all of the scholarship representatives said it very clearly that this is not just, apply to us and you're just now a person on a piece of paper. It really is about, calling them, talking to them. Obviously nowadays is virtual, but before you commit to sending documents, before you commit to an application, call them, call up, Scott Baker and say, I'm interested in high site, how can I navigate this with some other things going on, or calling, Mika and just saying, Big Shoulders is pretty awesome. I know the tax credit is a little challenging, but what about this other scholarship that you talked about from my child's high school? So there's grammar school. So, there's a lot of things that's all really about conversation. Being part of the solution and not just sort of saying, well, that's too much work, or I can't do this. Now, if you happen to have, Holy Trinity this year is 9,100, which is one of the most affordable Catholic high schools here in the city. If you happen to have $9,000 laying around on the kitchen table, then don't worry about financial aid. Don't worry about scholarships. But really the scholarship programs, which I'm excited to have them represented here, is not just about the financial element. It's really about helping your student to be their best selves at the high school they choose, even if it's not Holy Trinity, but to help them be their best selves. And that's really what these scholarships are really communicating. I think you heard that through the different people. So we do have a few questions I see there. So I'm gonna turn it over to Charles. And as I said, I may interject once or twice, either with a follow-up question that a family may have, or just a question that maybe hasn't been asked yet for the group. And again, participants, for the families, if you do have a question for a specific scholarship, please just note that in your question. Mr. Jefferson.
Yes, we have a couple of questions. One question that I think Janet from HFS has answered via the chat, but I'll ask it for the rest of the group. Daisy is asking, is my child able to use the same recommendation letters for all scholarships, or would she need a new one each time? So HFS has already answered that question. I'll turn it over to the other representatives here. Let's see, Big Shoulders, what will be your response to that question?
We don't actually need any letters of recommendation, so our applications are nice and easy. They're just income-based.
High site, Scott.
So we do have, I'm not sure actually I understand the question. So is the question, can they reuse the recommendations for the following year then? Or do they have to reapply? Is that the nature of the question?
I think it's saying for like multiple. So like, can we use the same recommendations for High Site, DMSF, and HFS?
I think you can. That's not a problem with us. So.
Yeah. So just like similar to HFS with us, it's through an online, form. So you fill that out. And so it's not technically a letter of recommendation that you're going to get printed out and put in an envelope. What it is you're basically filling out an online form, and it is specific to DMSF. Now, you might have the piece where you are asking the same person for multiple recommendations, and I think that that's perfectly okay. It's really important that you just give them enough time to submit, okay? So for instance, DMSF's application is due October 19th. Don't send an email October 18th at 11:30 p.m. saying, hey, Miss So-and-so, can I get this letter of recommendation? Make sure that you give them enough time so that they're able to do all of these letters of recommendation. Multiple students are probably going to be applying from your school. And so keeping that in mind, and the early bird always gets the worm.
And I think to piggyback off of that as well, you know, like I said, I was doing a degree in school counseling. One of the things I did when I interned was writing a lot of letters of recommendation. The recommender wants time not only so that they don't feel rushed, but also so that they can really write a good letter, or in our case in DMSF, really take the time to do a good job on that recommendation form so that they can really showcase who you are and not feel rushed to get it done within a day or two.
And so how that's going to happen, just let me add to that, at least for our application process, is that you're actually going to get the email address for them, and you're going to put that into your online application. And then once you hit submit, it will send them an email to fill out that form. So giving them a heads up is really important. That's number one. Other pro tip is to make sure that your email address is correct. We don't want to send it to the wrong email address. And so a misplaced E or an S that's actually a G could really slow down things.
Yeah, and with our form, we will just ask that you provide the teacher or counselor with the link, and then what we will do is we will reach out to them to verify that they were the recommender.
Thank you so much for those explanations. The next question that we have, I think, Mr. Parker, this is more directed toward you. I'll read it. It's from Maria, and she's asking, when taking the Catholic high school's entrance exam, and you later determined that you would like to change the school that you're applying to, is the exam transferable between schools?
The answer is yes. I mentioned in the introduction that the Catholic high schools in Chicago all take the same entrance exam, which is the high school placement test, HSPT. So that means that the results of one high school's exam would qualify for the results of another high school. But the difference would be that it's up to the high school in order to release those scores. So there are some high schools that will only let you know after a test whether or not your son or daughter has been accepted without revealing your test scores. And then there are some schools that if your son or daughter is not accepted because of the test score, that they would give you the test scores in order to pass on to another school. The one thing that you can always do in either case is you can always request from the school that your son or daughter took the test at and have them send it to the new school. The one thing that high schools cannot do, we cannot make requests from school to school. So I cannot request from another Catholic school to get your son's test scores. It can only be by permission of the parents. So if you do want to test scores, regardless if the school gives it to you or not, or correctly beforehand, it has to be a request from you to be sent to the other school. And usually that happens a lot when you go through the process, you've taken the test, you fill out the financial aid form, you fill out the application, got accepted, and then the financial aid package is revealed. And a lot of times what happens is that even if the high school is generous, it's still something that is above what you were expecting as a budget for your family. So a lot of times you would talk about it as a family and go with your second choice private high school, and then that usually is when you would want the test scores sent over. Or it could just be, you know, you weren't sure at the time, but as you investigated other schools, you saw there was a better fit. So there's many reasons to do it, but just know all you need to do is make a request of the first school and ask them to send the test scores to the second school.
At the current moment, we don't have any other questions. You know, maybe we want to give people a couple minutes to submit anything, but I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Parker.
I do have a question, and I don't think everyone needs to answer, but if a couple people could answer as representatives, could you give us a hypothetical, meaning us, the participants, can you give the participants a hypothetical financial picture of the benefits of receiving a scholarship? You know, meaning here's a hypothetical tuition, this is how it all breaks down, and this is the final bottom line that a family would have to pay monthly after financial aid and scholarship application. Let's, Jeanette, since you're unmiked, since you're unmuted, why don't you go ahead and answer that for us?
Sure. Well, and I think it depends because I know that the schools provide financial aid as well. So I know for our organization, we do want the families to have some participation in the tuition so that, you know, they're valuing that their students' participation in the school and in the scholarship program. It's hard to give, when you asked, I hoped I wouldn't get called on because it's hard to give that exact answer just because it really depends on how much financial aid they're receiving from the school, of course, what the actual tuition of the school is, because those range pretty greatly, it seems like.
Yeah, I think the idea is just take a hypothetical situation, just make up numbers. But I think the idea is how much a scholarship could affect the bottom line.
Oh, I see. Well, I can tell you that right now our scholarships are set at $2,700. So I can tell you that helps the family kind of figure out if they were to receive our scholarship, they know they would receive that amount from us, and then they could factor in the other financial aid that they're receiving.
Would anybody else? Trenton?
Yeah, sure. And with DMSF, it's very much similar. It can vary from school to school, and that is what we see most of the time. When we're looking at day schools here in the city, our scholarship usually ranges from about $4,500 to $5,000 a year. And in partnership with the school's actual financial aid, families should be prepared to pay somewhere around $3,500 for their students' tuition. And that's on a yearly basis. And that's when we're looking at schools here in the city. A number of our boarding schools, because the endowment can be larger, a lot of those students go full need. And when we say full need, that basically means that they're not paying anything towards tuition. It's more so, you know, things that are kind of auxiliary, such as sports or uniforms or something like that. I think it is important for you guys to know that at least with DMSF, we are a partial high school scholarship that focuses directly on the tuition. And so we don't do anything like, you know, sports fees or books or uniforms. We actually do have a uniform closet. So for those families that would like to have that type of support, we do have some other things available, but it is something I would say for day schools, be prepared to pay about $3,500 a year as tuition, baseline tuition.
Yeah, I can go next for Peak if that's okay. So for Peak, we will pay $9,100 tuition to Holy Trinity for each of the 4 years. And then families will be responsible for about $90 per month for additional fees, but that's all they're paying.
That's nice. Where were you when my kids were in school?
Right. I need it.
So for Highsight, it is very dependent on the family. I've seen pretty different amounts. So it is hard to give a one-size-fits-all answer to this question. Patty, the question is, how much is an average scholarship worth? It's kind of hard to put your, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my son is playing some video games, so my internet keeps...
We don't hear it.
So I apologize. This is the beauty of kind of being at home with, I have a 14-year-old, so I'm sure the people on this call understand exactly what I'm talking about. Scholarship kind of ranges. So it's very family dependent. We don't go anywhere above $3,500 per year though. But it is family dependent. So we do work with the families and we work with the high schools to make sure that it is going to be something that's affordable for the families.
Right. And actually this is Trenton.
Yeah, I wanted just to add something really quickly. This is also insider or pro tip, I would say. There is a finesse to this as well. Like learning how to, I guess, what do I want to say, hustle? Like you can stack scholarships. And so understanding that, yes, you can be a Murphy Scholar as well as Peak, as well as a Chicago Scholar, or get the tax credit scholarship. And so we have many scholars who do that stacking. So it does help take down that family contribution. And so don't think that you have to apply to only just one. I think that we partner with every organization here just outside, except Highsight. And the only reason why we don't is because what we do is so similar, and the mandatory programming that we have is that Highsight and DMSF, as well as Link Unlimited, we decided, you know what, let's separate and support as many students as possible. And so we partner with all of these other scholarships that you've seen represented here tonight. And so learning how that there is a finesse to the game as well, and learning how to do that is important.
Yeah, and having this scholarship information night, which is our 3rd year, which has been very successful all 3 years, because this is the information I think that the families really need. And there's some elementary schools that, not even because they're not in school now, but even before that, a lot of the elementary schools were unsure of what was available. So this was definitely something that became a need. And it's not only because we presented these scholarship programs, because they actually are, the big unattached, means they're not attached to a school, except for it's not just because we want you to know about them, but these are all of our friends who partner with us here at Holy Trinity. And we here at Holy Trinity have scholars from every single one of the organizations that are represented here. So this is real, meaning that your student can be a Daniel Murphy Scholar, your student can be a Peak Scholar, your student could be a Big Shoulder Scholar. Many of you, as we said earlier, many of your families are Big Shoulder Scholars already. It's just a matter of whether or not that transfers over into high school. So there's a lot there, and I know we gave you a lot of food for thought as participants. I do want to thank everyone on the panel. Alexis Armfield from Peak, Trenton Dunn from Daniel Murphy Scholarship Fund, Mika Slotsmia, and Jeanette Wilson from HFS Chicago Scholars, Scott Baker from Highsight, Patty Hart from Highsight, and our very own here at Holy Trinity, Mr. Jefferson for helping us to moderate this entire event. As we said before, for the participants, this will be recorded and emailed to you together with all of the addresses, and any of the scholarship representatives are always willing to have a conversation at any time during the process. But do know to make sure that you know that Daniel Murphy Scholarship Foundation is one of the first deadlines of the season. So their deadline is the middle of October. So that's the one scholarship that you really want to start probably investigating first as you investigate the others as well. So thank you. And he put his email address and all kinds of websites in the chat. We'll also be sending it by email as well. So again, I want to thank all the scholarship representatives for spending your time with us this evening, and to thank all the parents who are with us and their students. Do know that Holy Trinity is always a resource for you, so feel free to reach out to us, go to our website. We have all kinds of opportunities to learn about us through information sessions, which are virtual this year. We have a 360 building tour, which we're probably one of the first in Chicago to do so, where you not only get a sense of what our building looks like on the inside, you actually literally get to walk through our building virtually and visit our classrooms and see our auditorium. We will also be including that link, which is on our website. We'll also have what we call Tiger Time Chats, where you can just sign up to have a half-hour, 40-minute conversation, you and someone from my office, just talk specifically about your family situation. So we have all those things on our website. Mr. Jefferson has put that on the chat, and they'll also be in the follow-up. So thank you all so much. Have a great evening. It's Thursday. We at Holy Trinity don't have school tomorrow, so it's a day off, at least for the teachers, not so much for the rest of us. And just have a good night.
Thank you for having us.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.